There was a time in my life where everything I did for her. Her name was Lana. If you asked anyone back then, they'd say I was obsessed. Maybe I was. But when you're 24 and think you've found the one, nothing feels too much. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. to start my shift at the coffee warehouse, then clock out and head straight to the kitchen job at night. 6 days a week. Sundays I left open because that's when she liked us to have our days, brunch, flea markets, or just laying in bed watching reruns of sitcoms she already knew by heart. I made her gifts. Not fancy things, just personal. A leather bracelet I tooled myself. A photo album with ticket stubs and dumb notes from gas station road trips. I once learned how to make croissants from scratch because she mentioned once, just once, that she missed the ones she had in France with her mom. Took me 2 weeks and about 5 ruined batches to get it right. She'd smile and say, "You're too much." But I could tell she liked it. I didn't have many friends. Not the kind that stuck. One by one they drifted. Said I was always busy. Said I disappeared. They weren't wrong. I didn't go out. Didn't party. Didn't game. I was either at work or with her. That was enough for me. And for a while it felt like enough for her too. Then the bad stretch hit. First, the warehouse laid me off. Downsizing. The boss said it wasn't personal. Said I was a good worker, just caught in the numbers. I smiled, shook his hand, and went home feeling like someone had unplugged the power to my body. Lana was supportive at first. "You'll find something else," she said. She even helped me redo my resume. Then the restaurant cut back my hours. Then cut me out altogether. 2 jobs gone in 3 weeks. I started applying everywhere. Grocery stores. Fast food. Delivery. No bites. Not even interviews. I pawned my guitar to cover rent. Skipped meals some days to stretch what we had. Lana tried to keep her cool, but I could see it in her face. The worry. The tight-lipped nods when I said I have a lead that wasn't really anything. She started going out more, said it was just to clear her head. I didn't ask questions. I trusted her. Maybe that was my first mistake. One night, she came home late, smelling like someone else's cologne. I didn't say anything. I just watched her put her phone face down on the nightstand and slide under the blanket without saying a word to me. The next week, she was gone. Left a note. Said, "I need to breathe. I can't do this anymore." She didn't say goodbye. She didn't say where she was going. A few days later, I found out she was staying with my old friend Marcus. A guy I used to call my brother. We'd grown up 2 streets apart. Played ball, went to the same community college, even worked that warehouse job together for a while before he left to sell real estate. He was the one who introduced me to Lana at a New Year's party. I hadn't seen him in a year. Then I saw a photo pop up on someone's story, Lana at a brewery patio leaning into Marcus like they'd been together forever. That was the day something inside me just broke. I called him. He didn't pick up. I texted her. Left on read. No job. No friends. No girl. No money. Just me. Sitting in a 1-bedroom apartment with dishes in the sink and rent coming due. I used to think love meant doing everything you could for someone. But sometimes it just makes you easy to leave. After Lana left, the days blurred. I don't remember much about the first couple weeks. Just this fog. I'd wake up at 10, maybe noon, sit on the edge of the bed for an hour before I moved. Ate whatever was left in the fridge. Canned soup. Crackers. Some days just water and coffee. I tried reaching out to people. Not many, just the ones I thought might still care. Got a couple of polite responses. "Damn, that sucks, man. You'll bounce back." No one offered to hang out. No one offered a couch or a drink. Most just didn't reply at all. Turns out when you're broke, broken, and no longer useful, you find out who really sticks around. I applied for over 70 jobs. Heard back from 2. One was a delivery gig that paid less than what I'd spend on gas. The other was a call center that ghosted me after the interview. I even walked into places with a printed resume like it was 2005, trying to talk to managers. They smiled, nodded, tossed the paper aside. Rent came due. I sold my gaming console. Sold the little camera Lana had gotten me for our anniversary 2 years before. Sold her bracelet too, the one I made by hand. That one hurt, but I needed the cash. Still came up short. The landlord gave me a week extension. Then another. But on the 15th day, I came home to a notice taped to the door. I packed what I could fit in 2 duffel bags and crashed with a guy I barely knew from my second job, Jesse. He had a small place and a bigger heart than I deserved. Let me sleep on his futon for 2 weeks before his girlfriend said I had to go. From there, it was a couch in someone's garage, then 3 nights in my car. I kept telling myself it was temporary, that it was just a phase. But every morning I woke up colder, more tired, and more aware of just how far I'd fallen. One day I saw Lana's face again. Just a glimpse. An Instagram post someone reshared. Her smiling next to Marcus. Both of them holding matching mugs that said, his and hers. It was like a knife in the chest. Not because she was gone, but because she looked happy. Happy in a way she hadn't looked with me in over a year. That's the part that eats at you. Not the betrayal. Not the loneliness. But the realization that someone you gave everything to is better off without you. I stopped checking social media after that. Deleted the apps. I couldn't handle it. Instead, I'd walk. Just to fill time. I'd walk 2-3 hours around neighborhoods I couldn't afford to live in. Looked at houses with trimmed lawns, lights on, people grilling in their backyards. I wasn't jealous, just curious. How do some people get to live like that while others are stuck in limbo? One night, I saw a couple through their window, laughing, dancing in their kitchen, wine in hand. I stood across the street for too long. Not in a creepy way, just staring like it was a TV show, like I wasn't part of that world anymore. Back at the garage I was crashing in, I lay down on a flattened sleeping bag and stared at the ceiling. Flakes of old paint hung loose like it wanted to fall. I didn't cry. Not anymore. That part had dried up weeks ago. I just kept asking myself the same question. How did I get here? Not like I didn't know the steps. I knew every single one. I just didn't understand how loving someone with everything you had ended with you being this alone. I used to think hitting bottom was a single moment. One big crash. But turns out it's a staircase. And every time you think you've landed, another step appears beneath your feet. After the garage gig dried up, I moved into a shelter downtown. Bunk beds lined in rows. Smelled like sweat and bleach. You got a locker if you were lucky. I wasn't. Slept with my duffel bag under my head. One arm through the strap so nobody could run off with it. I kept looking for work. Libraries had time-limited computers. I'd sit down, pull up a job board, and apply to whatever didn't require a car or a clean shirt. Sometimes I'd borrow a button-up from the free clothes bin just to look halfway decent for interviews I never got. Then one day I saw Marcus again. Not in person, just online. Someone sent me a screenshot of a post he made. Can't believe it's already been 6 months with this amazing woman. Life has a funny way of bringing people together. The photo was them on a boat, sun on their faces, wine glasses in hand. I stared at it for too long. This guy, my old friend, the one who knew my mom's cooking and the basement we used to play Xbox in, he was the one who caught her when I fell. And he smiled like he won something. That's when something in me shifted. Not like I snapped, just slid. I stopped applying for jobs. Stopped going to the shelter meetings. Stopped brushing my teeth some mornings because what was the point? Nobody was checking. I walked into a liquor store one afternoon with $15. Came out with the cheapest bottle of whiskey they had. Drank it behind a dumpster in an alley behind a tire shop. It was warm and bitter and made my eyes water. Didn't stop me from finishing it. That week blurred. I drank more. Panhandled when I had to. Slept behind a 24-hour laundromat because the dryers kept the sidewalk warm. Talked to myself a lot. I knew I looked like one of those people now, the kind you walk past with quick steps and pretend you didn't see. And honestly, I understood it. I wouldn't have looked at me either. Then something weird happened. An old woman walked past me on a Tuesday afternoon. Maybe 70, short and hunched, pushing a cart of groceries. She looked me dead in the eye, slowed down and said, "You remind me of my son." I nodded, didn't know what to say. She reached into her bag, handed me a sandwich wrapped in wax paper, and said, "He used to work 2 jobs too." Thought it would make her stay. Then she walked off. I stared at that sandwich like it was the only solid thing I'd seen in weeks. Took me 3 hours to eat it. Not because I wanted to savor it. Just because it felt like if I finished it too fast, whatever hope came with it would disappear. I don't remember her face much now. Just her hands. Wrinkled, veined, steady. And that line kept playing in my head. He used to work 2 jobs too. That was the hook. That was the line that pulled me back to shore. Just enough to breathe. Because I realized I wasn't special. I wasn't the first guy to give everything and end up with nothing. I wasn't even the first guy that woman had seen it happen to. But maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to be the last. The sandwich did something. Not magic. Didn't fix my life. But it cut through the fog just enough to remind me I was still in there. Still breathing. Still had the option if I wanted it to try again. So I did what felt possible. I stopped drinking. Not in some grand moment. Just one day I walked past the corner store and didn't go in. That was it. My hands still shook for a few days. I sweat through my shirt at night. But I didn't go back. That was the one rule I made, don't go back. I found a day shelter that helped with work referrals. You sit in a room with guys who look like you and guys who don't, and you wait your turn to talk to a caseworker. Mine was a guy named Sean. Mid-30s, calm voice. Didn't pity me. Didn't try to fix me. Just asked what I used to do. Warehouse. Kitchen line. Delivery once too. He nodded, typed some stuff, printed out 2 listings. Try these, he said. They don't pay great. But it's a start. That phrase used to piss me off. It's a start. Like starting again was a choice. But I kept my mouth shut. One job was janitorial at a middle school, part-time nights. The other was unloading trucks at a recycling center, early morning shift. I went to the school first. Got interviewed in a supply closet by a guy named Barry who wore orthopedic sneakers and kept a pencil tucked behind his ear. He asked if I'd ever cleaned classrooms before. I said no, but told him I could mop and scrub and didn't mind the smell of bleach. He said, good enough. Show up Monday. That was it. Just like that. I slept lighter that night than I had in months. Not better, just lighter. Like something had shifted. The school gig didn't pay much, but it was something. I got a staff badge. Had access to the break room. The other janitor, Vince, was a quiet guy who mostly listened to classic rock on his old phone speaker while we worked. We didn't talk much. Just swept, emptied trash, wiped desks. It was honest work. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was hiding. 2 weeks in, I used my first paycheck to buy a used prepaid phone. Called Jesse, guy with the futon. He answered. Damn, man. You still alive? I laughed. Barely. But yeah. He told me I could crash for a bit. His girlfriend had moved out by then. Said he missed having someone to eat garbage frozen pizza with. I took the couch again. Slept better this time. Didn't have to worry about someone kicking me out at dawn. Little by little, I built a new routine. Work at night. Shower in the morning. Look for a second job during the day. Jesse let me borrow his laptop for applications. I ate a lot of peanut butter sandwiches. Cheap, filling, and didn't require cooking. 3 weeks later, the recycling center called back. Early morning shift 5 days a week. Physical, but I didn't mind that. Kept my hands busy. Kept my brain quiet. It was the first time I had 2 jobs again since everything fell apart. Still couldn't afford my own place, but I started saving. Just a little. 20 here. 50 there. Jesse wouldn't take rent, so I bought groceries instead. Kept the place clean. Fixed a leaky faucet. Tried to be useful. That fall, I passed by Lana and Marcus in the grocery store. Didn't even recognize her at first. She'd cut her hair. Looked different. Sharper. She saw me. Blinked twice. Looked like she wanted to say something. Then just turned her head and walked past. Marcus looked at me like I was a pothole in the aisle. I didn't say anything. Didn't feel anger. Didn't feel much of anything. Just walked to the checkout with my eggs and canned beans and left. Back at Jesse's, I cracked a beer, not the cheap kind this time, and just sat on the porch. Not happy. Not sad. Just there. But that was already more than I'd been in a long time. Things didn't fall apart overnight this time. It was slower. Like a slow leak in a tire, you don't notice until you're running on the rim. I was doing both jobs. Nights at the school, early mornings at the recycling center. Sleep when I could, coffee when I couldn't. Jesse still let me crash at his place, but I could tell he was getting tired of having a roommate. He never said anything directly, but his tone changed. Shorter. Quieter. I started noticing things I hadn't seen before, how his toothbrush wasn't in the cup anymore, how the second beer in the fridge was never for me. Small signs. You learn to read those when you've overstayed your welcome. So I started looking for a room to rent. Cheap, close to work, no lease if possible. Found a listing on a torn flyer at the laundromat, room for rent, $400 per month, no pets, no drama. Called the number. A woman answered, said her name was Cheryl, and told me to come by that evening. It was a rundown duplex with peeling paint and an old couch on the porch. Inside smelled like cat litter and cigarette smoke. But the room was clean enough. Small bed, dresser, window that didn't quite shut all the way. I said I'd take it. Moved in that weekend. Told Jesse thanks for everything. He just nodded and said, don't disappear again. That was it. I didn't. But I stopped reaching out. Cheryl didn't talk much. Stayed in her room most of the time. Her son lived there too, late teens, always in the garage, blasting music and vaping. We didn't bother each other. I kept my head down. Worked. Saved. Tried to keep moving forward. But then the recycling center cut hours. Said demand was down. Said they'd call me if things picked back up. They didn't. So I was back to one job again. Just the janitor shift. Barely covered rent and food. No room for anything else. I felt the panic creeping in again. That old familiar pressure behind the ribs. I applied for other gigs. No calls back. Walked to interviews I knew I wouldn't get just to keep my brain from spiraling. One night, I got home to find my door open. Not wide, just cracked. Nothing was missing, but it felt like something had shifted. Like someone had been there, even if they hadn't taken anything. I told Cheryl. She shrugged. Probably just the wind, she said. Your swells when it's humid. I nodded. But I started sleeping with a chair under the handle after that. Couldn't afford to lose what little I had. That week, I saw Lana again. This time, she saw me first. I was leaving the grocery store with a loaf of bread and a box of pasta. She was getting out of a silver SUV, dressed like someone who never had to check a price tag. She looked at me. Really looked. Then said, hey. I froze. Hey, I said back. She took a step closer. Have you been? I wanted to lie. Say good. Say great. Say anything. But I just said alive. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Marcus and I broke up, she said, unprompted. I didn't say anything. Didn't know what the right thing was. She looked like she wanted me to ask why. Or say something like, I'm sorry. But I didn't. She nodded. Anyway, take care, okay? You too. She walked away. I stood there for a long time with my bread and pasta in hand, wondering if that meant anything. If maybe she regretted it. If maybe she thought of me. But then I remembered how quick she left. How easily she landed with someone else. And I decided I didn't care. But I still thought about it all night. That's the part people don't tell you about trying to move on. The past doesn't knock anymore. It just walks in whenever it feels like it. After that run-in with Lana, something cracked loose inside me. Not all at once. Just a slow crumble I couldn't tape back together. I started waking up in the middle of the night again, that old weight in my chest, like my body remembered everything I tried to forget. Money got tighter. I was always calculating, can I buy eggs and still make rent? Can I stretch these bus tokens until next Friday? I skipped meals. Watered down shampoo. Borrowed socks from the free bin at the shelter on days I didn't work. One night after my shift, I came back to the house to find Cheryl in the kitchen crying over an empty wine glass. Her son had been arrested, some fight outside a gas station, cops found pills on him. She looked at me like I was supposed to have advice. I didn't. I said, that's tough, and went to my room. Next day, the window was broken. Someone had tossed a rock through it, probably friends of her son looking for retaliation. She blamed me for a second, said maybe someone from my past was trying to find me. I just stared at her. Told her I'd be out by the weekend. She didn't argue. I stuffed what little I owned into the same 2 duffel bags. Again. Like muscle memory. Moved into a weekly rate motel on the edge of town. Plastic sheets. Flickering light in the hallway. No kitchen, just a microwave that sparked if you left it on too long. It cost more than I could really afford, but at least nobody yelled through the walls. That first night, I sat on the bed and just stared at the wall. No TV. No noise. Just that feeling again that maybe I didn't actually make it out of the hole. Maybe I just built a smaller one inside it. I still worked at the school. Still wiped down desks and mopped floors. Vince noticed I was quieter. Didn't ask, just handed me a half sandwich from his lunchbox one day and said, it's got mustard, hope that's okay. I nodded. Thanks. That sandwich held me over for dinner. Then the cold snap hit. Old pipes at the motel froze. No hot water. He barely worked. I wore 2 coats to sleep. Woke up with my fingers stiff. One night I found myself staring at the bathroom mirror, toothbrush in hand, thinking, is this it? Not in a dramatic way. Just honestly. Is this all that's left? You give everything. You love with both hands. You bleed yourself dry trying to be enough. And this is where it lands you? Scrubbing high school gum off desks and living in a room that smells like old smoke and mildew? I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stared. Until I put the toothbrush down, turned off the light, and went to bed. I dreamed of a version of me that still had a home. Still had love. Still had a place to go on Sunday mornings besides the corner gas station for a cup of burnt coffee and a stale muffin. The motel kept raising the rates every few weeks. Said it was seasonal demand, but it was just a way to push out anyone who'd stayed too long. I started paying by the night instead of the week. That's when I knew I was back at the edge again. I kept going to work. Vince gave me a ride on the coldest days. Said I reminded him of his nephew. Never asked questions, never pried. Just showed up when he said he would. One Friday, I came down with something. Not the flu, not a cold. Just a deep, bone-level tired. Couldn't breathe right. Couldn't stand too long. I missed work for 2 days. Thought they'd fire me. They didn't. But Barry pulled me aside and said, "You can't keep doing this if you're falling apart." I nodded. I know. It was the first honest thing I'd said out loud in weeks. He said if I needed time, I could take a few days. Unpaid, of course. I thanked him anyway. I used that weekend to walk. Just walked. Through neighborhoods I'd never been in. Past churches and pawn shops, down streets with cracked sidewalks and yards full of rusted bikes. I sat on a bench at a park and watched a kid fall off his scooter, scrape his knee, and get up without crying. His mom didn't run over. Just looked up from her phone and said, "You're okay." And somehow that hit harder than anything else. You're okay? I wasn't. Not really. But I also wasn't dead. Not forgotten. Just floating in a space I never planned for. That night back in the motel, I pulled out the little notebook I kept receipts in and wrote. I didn't end up where I thought I would. I don't know where I'm going next. But I'm still here. That was it. No epiphany. No grand second chance. Just a sentence to remind myself I was still breathing. A few months passed. Still working nights. Still in the motel. Then one day I saw an opening for a groundskeeper position at a small cemetery on the edge of town. Full-time. Benefits. Quiet work. I applied. Got it. They gave me a uniform. A key to the supply shed. A little office with a heater and a fridge. I started saving again. Moved out of the motel into a rented room above a barbershop. No kitchen, but the shower worked and it had a window that faced the street. I'd stand there some mornings, coffee in hand, and just watch people walk by. None of them knew who I used to be. Who I lost. What I gave. What I didn't get back. And that was okay. I ran into Marcus once more. He didn't see me. Just drove past in a newer car, windows down, music up. I didn't flinch. Lana never reached out again. And the world didn't fall apart because of it. Turns out, life keeps going. Even if you're not ready. Even if you don't think you deserve it. Even if no one's waiting for you on the other side. Some days I still feel the ache. The what-ifs. The could-be beans. But most days I just get up, make coffee, and head to the cemetery. I trim hedges. Fix fences. Sweep leaves. I say good morning to headstones no one visits. And in a strange way, I feel more seen by the quiet than I ever did in the noise. So yeah, that's the story. I loved someone too much. Gave her everything. She left. My life fell apart. And somehow I kept waking up anyway. No big ending. Just what happened after everything changed.